Hello and welcome to episode 22 of Fluffy Fibres, the French podcast in English on sewing, knitting, spinning, reading and living green, all of course with the occasional help of the cutie of the house. Hello everyone, this is Isabelle, and as you can see obviously I'm trying something new today. I'm trying a video recording because I've been more and more intrigued by video podcasts and the idea of making one, even though I'm definitely going to try and put this out as audio as well, and I am certainly attached to audio podcasts because they're what I listen to most as opposed to video, because they just fit my lifestyle better. But of course, the great advantage of video is that you can show your projects, and so that's what I'm hoping to do. And so the main culprit for this decision is Kristin of Yarn Gazum, because recently she's been encouraging audio podcasters to try and do video. So and that's really been intriguing me for a while. Maria of the Subway Knits podcast as well has recently converted to video. She's still doing the audio as well, and I have to say I've always been a fan of hers, but I think her video podcasts are even better than the audio. And lastly, what's really triggered it for me was discovering Little Bobbins Knits, who also does a video podcast. She is Danny from Southern England, and she has an absolutely delightful podcast, and it's certainly obvious that she makes amazing projects, very delicate, very intricate as well, I like to say, and it's very obvious that her podcast gains a lot from the video because you get to see everything, and so that's what finally triggered it for me to try and do video. So for those of you who are only discovering me today, well, first of all, welcome to everyone. Welcome to the new viewers, new listeners, and thank you very much to the returning listeners. And so for those of you who don't know me, I am Isabelle and I live in southern France, and I have been podcasting since 2011 with a pretty big hiatus in 2012 and 13, and I got back to podcasting in March of last year, and I'm really very happy to be back to it regularly. I've been blogging I started my blog in July of 2004, so over 10 years, and I've really been enjoying the change that podcasting has offered me, and especially the increased interaction that it has offered with my listeners. So that's really something that has kept me going, really encouraged me to keep going. And so today's segments are going to include a bit of sewing, a bit of knitting, and a bit of spinning. I'm not going to do the other segments, the extra segments, because, you know, for first video episode, let's just, you know, see where this is going to go. So I hope everything is going to work well. Of course, technically it's really quite challenging. The thing as well that has hindered me a little from doing video casts is my speech, the fact that I'm not an English native speaker, and that means that I get to stutter more, to hesitate more, and I edit all this out of my audio podcast, but of course you can't really do that, or at least not that much with video casts. So I'm hoping it's still bearable for you. We'll see. And the kitty who's currently biting my arm, petite mignonne, arrête. That's when she's really getting really excited about cuddles. She is Petite Mignonne, who, and that may translate as little cutie. Little cutie works. And yeah, she's been my Actually, we adopted her exactly 10 years ago, which is rather exciting. She was 2 when we adopted her, and yeah, so she's gone for a bit of a nap now, I think. Before I move on to the regular segments, I just wanted to insert a small audio break here because just after I was done recording and editing the podcast, a lovely podcast listener contacted me on Ravelry. She is Rachel, or Knitting Love on Ravelry, and she suggested a wonderful idea, which I absolutely wanted to share with you right now, and that is having a little tea swap on the group. She said she was really always enjoying my little descriptions of the tea I was drinking as I was recording an episode, and so she figured it would be really nice to do a little exchange. So we are going to put all the details on the forum. We're going to open a thread so you can see all the details, and it's going to be very hassle-free, a very small swap that is not going to be very costly, because the idea is to send very small packages, hopefully around the world, because the idea as well is to, discover very different habits from yours. So I hope this is going to be interesting, and I love as well how it may tie in with the Little Bobbins Knits swap. She is going to host a swap about tea cozies. So I really hope you are as excited as I am about this. I think it's going to be fantastic. So do hop over to the thread on the Fluffy Fibres podcast Ravelry forum so we can all chat over there. So now I'll leave you with a bit of sewing. So I haven't been doing that much sewing, but what I've been making has been quite boring actually, but also quite useful. And that is a sofa slip cover. So we've had a new sofa for a year, which is a lovely dark blue linen kind of upholstery fabric. The problem with it is it's a magnet to our cat, and especially to our cat's claws, and that means that we've kept protecting it with throws that we spread over it. But the problem with throws is they don't look pretty, but they're quilted throws, very vintage French style. But the problem with these is it gets messy because they constantly slide down, so I got really tired of it. So over the Christmas holidays, just after the new year actually, my first resolution for the year was to finally make this sofa slipcover. So I got a fabric which is actually really close in colour to the original sofa, so a dark dusty blue, really nice. And I set to work while listening to a ton of podcasts during the process because that's so boring. I have to confess, I hate home decor sewing. I love making clothes, I love making bags, but no, home deck curtains, that kind of thing is just so boring for me. But yeah, so I really went at it in a very amateur way, I'm sure, but it works. I used the fabric as my, I modelled the fabric onto the sofa to sew, to make the seams and to fit it onto it directly. But yeah, so we are quite happy about that. The other thing I've been working on is a birthday dress for my daughter. So my daughter is going to turn 3 on February the 15th. And every year for her birthday I've sewn her something cute. So the first year I made her a little dress, which I actually have here because it's so absolutely cute. I really wanted to show it to you. So here it is. So it's this one. It's a Clothkit dress. Clothkit is an English company that sells these fabrics. And these fabrics are actually also printed with the pattern lines, which is extremely handy because it saves you a lot of time, obviously, in the sewing, since you don't have to, cut out the pattern pieces, put them onto the fabric, cut out the fabric. You just have to cut out the fabric. And it was a time, obviously, my daughter being only 1, and not sleeping much at all. When I was pretty overwhelmed, I was back at work as well, so I felt that was quite a reasonable project because it was going to be so quick. So it's lined as well. It's lined, the pocket as well, even the pocket is lined, which I find is a really nice touch. So, and she's wearing this for quite a while. I think it's too short now, but she's wearing it for, I think, at least a year and a half, which is nice. And actually, they also had the same fabric for women's skirts, and I made one, a matchy one, to be matchy for my daughter's birthday. I made nice pictures for the birthday. So yeah, it's got a little bird also behind as well. So that was the first birthday 2 years ago. Last year I made matching aprons for my daughter, me and her doll. And I only have mine because, I don't know, my daughter's apron and her doll's apron are probably having a party somewhere. I'm sure I found them, you know, as soon as I finished recording, but I just couldn't find them before I started recording. But it doesn't really matter because they're all exactly identical, just not on the same scale. So you have this yoke and then the body of the apron and the pocket and ties the back. And it's all bound with bias tape, which is really, that was the most time consuming thing really. All this bias tape on three aprons. But yeah, it was quite fun, and we've been using these quite a bit actually because we love baking together on winter afternoons. So we always wear these aprons, these matching aprons when we bake. And this year, I am making a matching dress for her and her doll. She is very much obsessed with dolls. So let me focus on the pattern for you. Yeah, so it's Simplicity 2946, and it's a very simple dress. It's supposed to be a summer dress, but I'm making it out of corduroy, just as her dress 2 years ago. And this pattern is pretty special to me because it was given to me by Helen of the blog So Stylish. Blogspot.co.uk, with the so being S-E-W. She's been a friend for quite a few years now, and probably going on 10 years. And she also listens to the podcast, so Helen, if you're watching or listening, hello. And she participated in the sew-along that we did in the summer, and she actually entered a whole lot of finished objects, both for her and her daughter, and she ended up winning one of the prizes, and she won a bundle of patterns. And as a thank you, which obviously she didn't need to do, but was very nice, she sent me a bundle of patterns herself, along with amazing chocolate, scrumptious, really organic milk chocolate, absolutely lovely. It had this lovely printed cover as well, wrapping, absolutely lovely. And so it's even more special to be using this because it comes from her. So thanks again, Helen. It was such lovely gifts that you sent. So I actually cut that out, and I'm making it out of, I have a bit left over the fabric. Everything is cut out, both for the doll and my daughter. So it's this kind of fabric, which has a, let me try and zoom for you, focus on, yeah, no, it wants to focus on my face actually. So it's a black background, it's a corduroy with a black background, and purple paisley little floral motif all over. So I think she's going to love it. So of course I'm making this as a winter dress to be layered over warm clothes. So that's my sewing project for now. And just in terms of, just since we're talking about sewing, I just wanted to show what I'm wearing today, which is also a corduroy dress. It seems to be the theme for today's sewing segment. So it's Simplicity, let me check. Simplicity, no, it's New Look 6615. And I made this version, sleeveless jumper really, which is absolutely cute. I made that ages ago. I made that in almost 8 years ago, I'd say, in late 2005, and it's really cute. And it's embroidered actually. It's a fabric that's embroidered with flowers, really cute. And that is it for the sewing segment for this week. I keep wishing I managed to sew more, but it's not really realistic right now. And I'm thinking as long as I make one project a month, I think that's really nice. So there we go. Okay, in terms of knitting, I have a very exciting finished object, which is, I think it's the whole reason why I absolutely wanted to film this precise episode, because I really wanted to show you this project. And it is my Speckle cardigan. So Speckle is the spin along, knit along, organised by the Knitmore girls. And so the point was so you spun, with the goal of spinning during the summer, a sweater's worth of yarn, and then you knit it, and I just finished mine. So let me show it to you. So here it is. So I just finished it 2 days ago. It's absolutely lovely. It's very soft, so soft. I'm not sure. I don't think I have any sweater that is that soft. And so mine is British undyed BFL, Bluefest Leicester, which I'm very happy about, because I've been trying over the past 6 months, I'd say, to be much more conscious about the wool that I use, the fibres that I use. That's also why I want so much to be back into spinning, really, to be more able to control what I'm buying and where it comes from and how it's processed. And there are several podcasts that actually are really useful to raise this awareness about wool, about your choices in knitting. And these are the Woolful podcast, which is amazing, and Knit British podcast, which is also wonderful. And so for me, this is really perfect, because it's something, it's been minimally processed. It's not superwash. It hasn't been dyed. It's just been, washed and combed, and then I spun it and I knit it. So that's absolutely perfect. It's really one of the points why I want to spin. Really, is to go the as high as possible in the chain of making, really, to be able to make sure that nothing of it is dodgy in terms of processing. So let me put it on for you. And actually I have tons left over from this yarn. So I spent 700 grams of my Bluefest Leicester. It was quite a challenge, because I had only been back to spinning after a 2-year hiatus, and even when I started spinning in 2011, I had hardly spun at all. I was really a beginner when I spun this, but it was a great way to practice, actually. So the pattern is the Metro cardigan by Connie Chang Chinchillo. It's a Twist Collective pattern. So it's in a worsted weight, and what I really loved about this is the asymmetrical line of cables running just down one side of the collar. So I really love it. And the sleeves, that's really what I'm very happy about, because the sleeves in the design are supposed to be 3/4 sleeves, and I really wanted a cozy, warm cardigan with extra long sleeves. I really like this very long band of ribbing here, and I had plenty left over, actually. So let me show you. So I have this little ball left over, which must be around 50 meters, and I have a whole skein left over from my spinning, which is 135 meters. This is a 3-ply, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this remaining skein. I think for now what I'm going to do is hang it. So this is actually my sewing room. Well, you've probably guessed. But as you can see, the walls in this room, the walls are bare. It's the bare stone. And so I think that would be quite nice hung against this stone. You know, just a meeting of just natural elements. I'm really so proud of myself, I have to say, for completing this challenge. And maybe one day, maybe I'll incorporate it into a shawl, a stripy shawl, maybe, you know, with a contrasting colour. That would be quite nice. But for now, I think it's just going to stay just hanging somewhere, just so you know, as an element of decor. So that's one finished object. Well, that's my one finished object. But so what happened is, this actually has been on my needles for quite a while. I think I cast on in September, but I kept putting it down to work on other things, especially my daughter's coat that I made her for Christmas, which is her manteau de lutin, her elf coat, which actually took up more yarn than this, if you can imagine. They're both in a worsted weight, and hers took, I think, 800 meters. It's crazy, amazing. I mean, just because it has a gigantic hood, and it had it's really knee length, so, and very flared as well at the skirt, and with tons and tons of cables. It's really textured. You can see I've updated the project page for this, so you can see it. The pattern for my daughter's coat is Lavender by Elena Nodal, and you can see pictures. I even posted pictures of my daughter wearing it because we were around last Saturday and I had my phone, and they're phone pictures, but because it was quite sunny, they're okay in terms of the quality. And she got so many remarks by you know, random people in the street. It was so fun. But yeah, I'm so proud of it. But it took me a lot of time, and I really wanted to have it done by Christmas. So because of that, this languished for quite a while. So it felt like it took forever, but I'm sure it didn't really. This is my first bottom up, sorry. This is my first bottom up cardigan as well. So I learned quite a bit on the way as well in terms of the sleeves, and it is shaped with short rows. I really like this. It's a very nice, polished design, really. I really recommend it. So in terms of my whips, I first have in my little commute project bag that I made last summer out of toile de Jouy, which is a French kind of print of upholstery fabric. So this is my small commute project, which is really handy because it can fit into my work bag quite nicely. So I've been knitting leg warmers for my daughter. So here's the first one. I cast this on, I think, last Saturday. I mean, as soon as I was done with that, I just cast on for 2 projects. I'm bigamous knitter, I'd say. Not a polygamous knitter by any means. I don't like having too many projects on the go. They just overwhelm me, and I feel like I'm not making any progress on on any of them. And most importantly, it stresses me out, which of course is not the point of knitting. I like having 2, maximum 3 projects, but ideally 2 projects on the go. One for my commute, so something small, mindless, fun, and a cardigan or an intricate shawl for home, for the evenings. So this is my current mindless fun project. So the yarn is Knitcall by Adria Fil, which is an Italian company, and so this is my one exception to my rule of being really mindful of how ethically produced my yarn is. So this is made in Italy though, but it's superwash. And the thing is, this comes from a local shop. And the one exception that I make to my rule is when I want to support my local yarn shops. And the yarn shops here in Montpellier, this comes from Anne Ouvrage in Montpellier. They're not, I mean, they hardly have any ethically produced wool, really. Still, I think it's really important for me to support them and to buy from them regularly. So that's my one exception. The yarn for my daughter's coat as well, that is absolutely not natural at all. It has quite a good amount of polyester in it. It's at least 50% wool, but maybe not more than that. So, but I felt this was, a good way to support a local yarn shop. And it seems indestructible, actually, which is not that good because it means it's probably not biodegradable the way this is. This is absolutely biodegradable. It's just wool. So, yeah. But anyway, so this is a very, very fun yarn that I love. It's Adriafil, and it's their Knit Gold collection. They have a ton of different stripes, and it's really funny because these balls, they look ugly when you see them in the shop. They look like clown bath, as my friend Rebecca would say. But once they're knit up, I really think they work well. So this is one of their loudest colorways, but I felt for a kid it was really fun. So the reason why I'm making this is I actually made, I think it's the 4th time I'm making some of these, and this is my design. I mean, it's really easy, ribbing and stockinette. And so I made, the last one I made were these. I made these well over a year ago for when my daughter was smaller. She still wears them quite a lot and they still fit pretty well. I'm making these longer, of course, but by 5 centimeters, so 2 inches. But these fit quite well and she wears them all the time, so I felt she really needed at least one extra pair. And what I love about these is that they tend to go with everything because there are so many colors in it. It really matches everything in her wardrobe, which I love. And yeah, my daughter is very slender, especially now that she's potty trained. So she's been since September now, so she doesn't wear nappies anymore, and that makes a huge difference in the bulk of the top of their trousers. And trousers that are the right length for her tend not to fit her at the waist. They tend to just slide down, which is really not very comfortable for her. And so most of the time what she wears is either tights with a dress or leggings, and that works really well. But leggings in the winter, they're not really warm, so I like to put this over them so that she's warm. So yeah, so this is really potato chippy. So I made this in not long at all, and I'm on to the second one now. So I'm knitting the ribbing on 3.5mm needles and the stockinette part on 4mm needles, and I can't remember what the US, let me check, maybe it's written on my note. Yes, size 6, so the larger size is size 6, so I'm assuming the smaller size that I'm using for the ribbing is size 5, I guess, in the US measurements. So yeah, these are really quite fun. And the other day I was knitting on the tram. I was running errands and I was knitting on the tram, and there was a little girl, 10-year-old, who was absolutely mesmerized with them. So we got to chat. That was really quite fun and quite nice. So that's my first whip. And my second whip, because once I've done this, I finished this, I didn't have any whip. I mean, I have a eutho that I really, 2 euthos that I absolutely want to finish this year, but not quite now. And then the other thing I cast on, and I've been dying to cast on for this for months, ever since I saw, ever since Green Triangle Girl, who hosts the Playful Day podcast and who's absolutely delightful and whom I love very much. Ever since she cast on for one for her daughter, I've wanted to knit one of mine for mine. And so this is the Lenny sweater. It's a tee short-sleeved sweater. And let me check my show notes, I can't remember who it's from. By Heidi Atwood Reeves. And I'm using also the yarn, so it's a really nice pattern. It's so a little tee, raglan tee with short sleeves and a lace panel at the front. It's really addictive to knit, actually, really fun. And it goes really fast because this is Aran weight. I think the pattern recommends worsted weight, but I was hitting perfect gauge with that, and I actually absolutely wanted to knit with this one. And also it's supposed to be a summer pattern, but I want this to be for the winter, so I'm thinking, you know, knit at a slightly tighter gauge is going to be warmer. And I'm using BFL, 100% BFL, which is obviously quite warm and lovely. So these are my Chiago needles, which are my favourite. I don't have a ton of needles actually because I don't have that many projects on the go, so I don't need that many. I would really like to try the Hayu interchangeable needles. I've heard a lot of good things about them, especially from Little Bobbins Knits from Danny. And my double-pointed needles for my socks are Hayus, and I love them, so I'm thinking they must be really good. But I really love my Chiagos. These are the red lace interchangeable, so this is the 5mm size 8 for the US viewers. And yeah, these actually were a Christmas gift from Seb 2 Christmases ago. No, 3 Christmases ago, so 2 years ago. And you know, they came in a little pouch, a lovely little black and white pouch. Lovely, really, I love them. And so when I cast on for a really indulgent project, I use these. I also use these for this one actually, in the same size as well. This is knit on, yeah, 5mm needles. Is it 4.5 or 5? Can't remember now. Well, anyway, in any case, I did use these because these are my favourite. So I think I'm going to enter this in the self-indulgent knit along, hosted by the Yarn Yaks, because this is the absolute self-indulgent project for me. And the yarn, so the yarn is Bluefest Leicester, dyed by Countess Ablaze. Let me check, I think I have the label here somewhere. Yeah. So, Radioactive Raspberry Jam in her Blue-Faced Baron Aran base, which is 100% superwash Bluefest Leicester. So this is absolutely fantastic as a colour, and it's going to look amazing on my daughter. It's really rare that I dress her in pink. This is really rather purplish pink. I think it's a little colder in real life than it seems to be in the screen. Maybe it will turn out all right in the final video, but this is really a purplish, a pinkish purple. It's really purple with a warm purple if you want. It's amazing, really vibrant, and very, very squishy, very nice to knit with. I don't tend to favour too much pink in my daughter's wardrobe, but she does wear amazingly all the cool fuchsia vibrant pinks. She's a winter like me, so we, you know, jewel tones look best on us, cold jewel tones. She's even more of a winter than me because she has my complexion with very dark hair and very pale skin, but she has blue eyes, so like her dad. So yeah, this is going to look really fantastic on her. I think she's going to be really excited about that. Yeah, so that's it for my whips, and now I'd like to just talk a little bit about my upcoming projects. So for my upcoming projects, first of all, last year I knit a couple of pairs of socks, one for me, one for Seb. My first pair of socks ever was for Seb, and I got really enthusiastic about sock knitting until I realised that I'm not that into wearing socks outside, like fine fingering weight socks, because I love wearing dresses, and so I'm always wearing tights. But he has been wearing his socks every day, like unless they're in the laundry, but every single day that they're clean, he wears them. He's been wearing them all the time. So he certainly needs at least another pair, and I'm hoping 2 other pairs within the next 6 months. And so I'm going to knit him another pair out of this, which is I think it's focused. It's online yarn, which is again from the same shop, An Ouvrage in Montpellier. It's stripy sock from Germany with 75% virgin wool and 25% nylon. They're really exactly in Seb's colours, which are mine as well. We really have the same tastes in colours. Yeah, he's excited about it. He's really happy. I really want this year to make more things for him. I mentioned in my last audio podcast that I wanted to knit him a sweater. And I also want to knit him socks because he is really wearing them. So that's really gratifying. And he deserves all this. Such a great guy. So that's my first upcoming project. My other upcoming project I mentioned repeatedly in my previous episode, which is the cardigan that I want to knit. A couple of cardigans actually. I want to knit one for myself and one for my daughter out of the yarn, the gorgeous yarn that my parents got me for Christmas, which is from La Droguerie, which is a French yarn shop, line of yarn if you want. And so, as I was saying, I'm realising that knitting socks for me in a fingering weight, so in all these lovely sock yarns that are hand-dyed, it's probably not the thing for me actually, because I don't think I'll be wearing them that much. However, I also work from home quite a bit, and so when I'm home on my own, I tend not to put the heating on, or not very much, because I'm on my own and it doesn't make much sense to be heating the whole flat just for me. So I tend to pile on my sweaters and wear socks, but I'm always cold. My socks are never warm enough, so I actually layer them, but even then I tend to have constantly cold feet. So I was thinking that's what I should do. Squishy, heavier socks than fingering socks. So and actually the yarn that I'm using for my daughter, this Adria Fine Knit Call, it's a DK weight, so I have decided to get some for me. And I looked online and I found another colour which is actually quite close to this one, so greens and blues, which is the Boccaccio colourway. So that's really exciting. So I'm going to get that for me to make socks. So that is it for my knitting, I think. So for my spinning, I do have quite a bit of spinning actually. Most of all because, well, as you all know, France have had pretty terrible days since the beginning of the year, and it's really been there's been a week in particular that has been absolutely horrendous for us, and it got really hard for a few days, it got really hard to focus on anything other than the Charlie Hebdo crisis and the hostages. And the only thing I managed to do, none of us were really able to work. So the only thing I was managing to do was not sewing, not knitting, but spinning. Spinning really helped me just keep myself together, really. So I spent quite a bit during that time. So first of all, I spent this, and I think the Charlie Hebdo team would have approved of this crazy neon colorway. So not traditionally, fiber arty, if I may. So this fiber came from Countess de Blaise, whom I love her colour sense. I love what she makes. She's so bold with her colours, but it's such a success. And so this was called Northern Lights. She has two variations on the Northern Lights colourway. It's either mixed fibres, blended fibres, or this, which was a combed top with just a chunk of green at one end, then some black, and then some neon pink at the other end. And so what I did was spin it end to end, worsted, in a true worsted weight. No, not worsted weight, worsted spinning method, which is when you pinch the air out as much as possible, and so I did this with a short forward draw, and so I spun it end to end to keep the colours separate, and then I Navajo plied it again to keep the colour separate. So I chain plied it, meaning I plied it onto itself. So so you apply the same yarn onto itself instead of mixing two separate yarns, two separate singles together. So that's what allowed me to keep the colours separate. So it means that at one end I have this crazy neon green, then I have some black, really black, true black, and then this crazy neon pink. And I want to make a cowl out of this. So this is truly my not loftiest, my squishiest by Shaw yarn that I've ever made. It's my most balanced yarn as well. I'm really, really happy about it. I think I've finally reached something with my yarn. So, and that's the main reason for that is for Christmas I treated myself to the jumbo flyer for my Sonata, and it means that I have much larger pulleys on it, so that the flyer turns a lot more slowly for the same number of threads on my wheel than the regular flyer. And I was really finding that I had a hard work because I'm a beginner. Even when I tried to treadle more slowly, I just didn't manage to. I felt the fly was just spinning too much, especially with my playing. So I felt my yarn was always a little overplied. So this is really, I feel it's not overspun and it's not overplied at all. I'm really happy about it. So yeah, so that's my first project. I plied this. I had already spun it, and I plied this during this horrible crisis. The other thing is I plied as well is this, which is some very random fibre. Actually, I got this in the Peak District in Manchester when we went 3 years ago in 2011. And I was just starting to spin back then. I think the yarn shop is Spin City UK. They have an online website as well, and they did have a basket with a few fibres of a few braids of fibre in it. And I got this, which is I think it's just merino red merino with undyed silk in it. So there was just this one strand of silk within the merino fibre. And I'm actually surprised by this because I spun this ages ago. It had been lying on a bobbin for months. I spun this to get back into spinning, to train myself back into spinning in the spring when I got back into spinning after not spinning for 3 years. And so I was pretty sure it would be absolutely terrible yarn. And I just wanted to Navajo ply it just to, again, keep myself sane, keep my hands busy. And actually, it's not that bad. The colour is really pretty, especially with this shot of white silk. So yeah, it's very far from perfect, but it's acceptable. I think it's going to be one of these skeins that I just hang on my wall for the decor. So yeah. I also have started on a new braid again during the crisis that we had in France, and I figured the best way to find a little bit of serenity was to spin one of my precious braids of Juno Fibre Arts, who closed down last autumn. And so this is it. This is Bluefest Leicester again. Bluefest Leicester is my favourite fibre. Bluefest Leicester and Sparkle, 30% of Sparkle, 70% of Bluefest Leicester. Again, Sparkle not being really eco-friendly, but I've been really drawn to spinning Sparkle lately. I think it really helps in giving a finer and more regular yarn. But anyway, I really love this. Its colourway is called Wishing Tree, which also I love. So you have this very cool mint green, then this bluish purple, mauve. Absolutely no. This is periwinkle purple. Then you have another strip of green. Then you have some mauve and some grey. And I've spun, I think, a little over half, maybe 2/3 of the way. I'm sorry. This is really, my camera is amazing. I hope you can see. My camera is amazing for pictures, but it's not the best for filming, I feel, because it doesn't autofocus. You have to do that by yourself. Anyway, so yeah, that is it. So I've been spinning it pretty fine, actually. I think this is a lace weight, and I'm going to 2-ply it, hoping to get a fingering, maybe a heavy fingering weight. And with this, I'm going to make a shawl from a pattern that a very kind listener gifted me. I'm going to knit it onto a Quaker yarn stretcher by Susan Ashcroft, and very kindly donated by absolutely lovely listener. So thank you very much, Kate. You know who you are. And so that was really apt, because she gifted me the pattern during the crisis just to cheer me up, really. And I was actually spinning on this, so it seems destined to become this shawl. So yeah, it's a really nice. It was in my wish list because it's an elongated textured triangle with an alternation of stockinette and garter stitch, and so it's really great to show off handspan. And also I think it's quite easy to adapt it to whatever length of yarn you have, so that's really great for handspan. Even though I think I'm going to have quite a bit of yardage with this. We'll see. I hope so anyway. So that is it for all of my spinning projects. But now I'd like to talk about my upcoming spinning and some very, very lovely acquisitions that I've been making lately. So, you may recall, if you listened to the previous podcast, the audio podcast, episode 21, you may recall that I was very inspired by the Craftsy class, Drafting from Worsted to Woolen by J.C. Box Faulkner. And this has been really motivated me to try and, teach myself how to spin woolen, because I've only spun worsted so far. And she explains very well that you need, in order to spin woolen, you can't really do it with a combed top, because all the fibres are aligned in the same direction. So you need bats or rolags in which the fibres are going in every direction, so that there's a lot of air in it, and that's what's going to help you make your woolen yarn. And I don't have any bats or rolags. I only have combed tops at the moment. Well, I only had, because I finally placed an order with Sarah's Texture Crafts, who is based in Devon in the UK, and I've been following her for a while on Instagram. I love what she makes. She also has a podcast, a video podcast, which I follow as well. I really love what she makes, and it's localish, you know, UK is for me it works. And so I got quite a few of her bats. So I first got a couple of these. So they are both 50-gram bats. So come on, I'm not sure it does, but yeah, it's Sarah's Texture Craft hand carded bat, and the colourway is malachite on a marl blend base, and it's merino. It's wonderful. It's really soft and gorgeous shades. And I got a couple of others which are in the shantung style blend base, and this colourway is called Seafoam. I have a couple of these, and I opened one up to see and to show you. How lovely is this? It really does look like a cloud. So there's some grass green, some silver and some blue, and there's some sparkle in it. I can't wait to have fun with this. And I got something else from her. I really was bad. I got some Rolags. I'm very excited about these. So here's a couple of them. I got a few more. They're the Oslo colourway. Really nice with blues and purples, which is my favourite. Blue and purple are my favourite colours, and I love them together especially. So yeah, I can't wait to spin on these. And these are merino and sparkle as well. So yeah, very, very soft. The package came really fast as well, and I was really pleasantly surprised because so Sarah dies to order, which is something that I actually really like, because it means there's no waste really. I mean, it's a very eco-conscious way of working, really, a very sustainable way, because she's only going to produce, you know, unless of course she's doing she's producing dyeing for her for fairs and shows, but she's only going to process and dye what people want, which I find really nice. You know, no waste. And so of course there's a delay. You know, you don't get them straight away because they're not in stock. And she dyed them in just a few days, and I got them really fast, which I was very happy about. So I really recommend Sarah's shop, and she's a lovely person. So yeah, hello Sarah, if you're watching. So I think that is it with this lovely little shot of colour. I think that is it for today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope it's been enjoyable. I've certainly enjoyed myself. I thought it would be much more awkward to record, so I really hope this works out, and I hope especially all the focus problems have not been too frustrating for you, and I really apologise if that has been the case. But my camera is a wonderful camera for photographs, but it's not that wonderful, I think, for filming, especially when you keep changing focus to show things. So anyway, thank you very much for watching until the end, and I do hope, and do please let me know if you've enjoyed this and give me some feedback. So if you want to get in touch, I am Fluffy Fibres on Ravelry, on Instagram, on Twitter, even though I'm not a great user of Twitter. And my blog, where the show notes will be, is kittycouture.blogspot.com. So Kitty, couture, like couture in French. So kittycouture.blogspot.com. And do please get in touch, but you always do, and I love being in touch with you. And thanks very much to all of you who've been sending me messages, especially, you know, of support with the crisis that we've had in France. That has been really wonderful. And thank you very much to all of you who commented on the last podcast episode. It was really lovely to hear from you, and it's really what, you know, keeps me going and makes me want to keep making these episodes. So until next time, have a lovely time. Bye.